In the dim recesses of the manor's undercroft, Edward discovered chamber after chamber, lined with cobwebs and remnants of a past era. Here, the whispers coalesced into a coherent lamentation, a sorrowful dirge that spoke of lives left unfinished and wrongs committed long ago. The tangled interplay of history and the supernatural reached its zenith in this forsaken labyrinth of stone and regret. Among scattered relics, he found a series of letters bound by faded ribbon. They spoke of clandestine love, political intrigue, and a bitter rivalry that had unleashed a cascade of tragedies. The letters, all dating back to a tumultuous year, 1789, revealed that influential figures had conspired in secret amid the ferment of revolutionary ideas. Though the French Revolution lay over a century behind them, its reverberations had been felt even in the private torments of Ashbourne House. The conspiracies and betrayals mentioned in these letters were not just whispers of a bygone era, but had incited a curse that bled into every stone of the manor. Edward's own scholarly mind was set ablaze with the thrill of discovery, yet the further he waded into these dark corridors, the more the spectral presence began to dominate. The apparitions, once vague and fleeting, assumed more definitive forms. A figure in a tattered military coat, his expression etched with unbearable sorrow, would linger in the crosshairs of Edward's vision. A presence of a once noble woman, whose grief seemed to echo the tragedies of her correspondence, moved silently among the stacks of decrepit books. Their eyes, void of life yet filled with an otherworldly luminescence, seemed to plead with Edward for the resolution of unfinished histories. As the night deepened, so too did the perceptible tension in the manor's undercroft. Every rustle of fabric, every faint creak of ancient floorboards seemed laden with premonition. Edward found himself confronting not merely ghostly echoes, but the embodiment of historical guilt and sorrow. The spectral voices, growing louder and more insistent, now formed a single chorus, a cacophony of regret and longing that reverberated off the stone walls. In the cavernous heart of the undercroft, Edward discovered the final piece of the Manor S enigma, a sealed wooden chest adorned with intricate carvings that echoed the themes of the letters he had studied. With trembling fingers, he pried it open and found within it a collection of personal effects, a locket, a withered rose, and a weathered journal. The journal, penned in a delicate yet fervent hand, chronicled the inner torment of one who had been caught between the rigid expectations of society and an all-consuming love forbidden by circumstance. The entries spoke of secret meetings in the gloom of Ashbourne House, a love sacrificed to duty and honour, and a despair so profound that it invited the wrath of vengeful forces. It was in these desperate confessions that Edward began to understand the true nature of the Manor S hauntings. The spirits, tethered by unfinished business and the gravity of a historical betrayal, were not malevolent in the conventional sense. They were sorrowful remnants yearning for acknowledgement and resolution. The heavy pall of their collective regret had seeped into the very foundations of Ashbourne House. Their whispers were not threats, but lamentations, the anguished echoes of those who had been wounded by the relentless currents of power and fate. As Edward absorbed the implications, a sudden gust of wind snuffed out the remaining candles, plunging the room into shadow. In that oppressive darkness, the spectral forms crystallized. The forlorn military figure stepped forward, his voice a sonorous whisper that resonated with ancient grief. It recounted the tale of a fractured family, a forbidden romance, and the crushing weight of honor that had led to ruin. The ghost's presence mingled with the chill of the underground air, binding the past and present in a single, resonant moment of revelation. In that final confrontation with the echoes of history, Edward felt both terror and empathy. The realization struck him that to understand the eerie manifestations around him was to grasp the undeniable truth that history, in all its beauty and sorrow, is never truly laid to rest. The manor and its phantasms served as a living chronicle, a perpetual reminder of the costs of secrets and the inevitable toll of unresolved emotions. When the first light of dawn crept through the shattered windows, Edward emerged from the depths of Ashbourne House transformed. His experience had confirmed that the past, laden with sorrow and tempered by regret, had a tangible hold on the present. As he stepped back into the misty embrace of London, the spectral voices ebbed into a forlorn lullaby that promised both closure and eternal mystery. The whispers of the manor continued to resonate within him, a constant reminder that history is not just a record of events, but a repository of every emotion, every secret, and every ghost that has ever walked its corridors. And, as the city slowly stirred to the rhythm of another day, Edward Hall carried with him the burden and the gift of unimaginable truths, a legacy of eerie echoes that defied the silence of time. In the years that followed, Edward would privately document his encounters. His detailed accounts, merging rigorous scholarship with the raw intensity of his supernatural experiences, would challenge contemporary scholars to re-examine the blurred lines between myth and history. Though many dismissed his writings as the fevered imaginings of a troubled mind, those who dared to look beyond the surface of dusty manuscripts and forgotten relics began to wonder, could the dead, in their infinite sorrow, still whisper the secrets of the past? Thus, amid the swirling mists of Victorian London and the desolate ruins of Ashbourne House, the legacy of unresolved histories lived on, forever entwined with the essence of an era that was as much about light as it was about crushing darkness. And as the fog rolled in each night, the whispering shadows of that bygone century continued their silent vigil, a timeless dirge for souls bound to a destiny that refused to be forgotten.